When you were a child going to elementary school, especially kids from the 1960s or even the early 70s, did you ever hear your teacher say the following statement? A carpenter does not show up to work without his or her toolbox. And if you think about it, it makes a ton of sense. How could a carpenter do any sort of hands on work without their toolbox? Good point, good point, good point. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jan. Welcome to another episode on this channel, the same Save Money and More with Jan channel. How you doing today? Hope as always that this video finds you well. This is on take 3 doing this due to mechanical problems having nothing to do with my video, but it affected my video. So now I'm on take 3. So much for toolboxes. But this is a very important imaginary, invisible, and you can expand it to any amount of tools that you want that will make it work for you. Janet, what on earth are you talking about? How many times have you heard me reference to my imaginary frugal toolbox? It is something that I have honed in the back of my mind over time. And I include practical tools. I call them tools, ideas, reference points, whatever it is, a bag of tricks, whatever it is that comes in handy, it works in my imaginary frugal toolbox. The great news is it doesn't cost me a dime. In fact, it saves me money. You can create your own frugal toolbox, and in all probability, you do have one of your own where you pull out the best tips and tricks that have helped you over time to save money, have a better lifestyle, and so on and so forth. I'm just saying we take this for granted sometimes, but we really shouldn't. All right. So, number one element or tool in my imaginary frugal toolbox that actually works is common sense. Now, go back to my video from 1 week ago, okay, about the blame game. You'll see where I'm going with this on that video. If you have not listened to it yet, go to the video, the blame game one from a week ago. All right. One of the tools that I love to use is common sense. And as Dr. Phil McGraw used to say, there's nothing common about sense. I will always credit him for that because it's true. It's not necessarily too common. So, but if we do have it, it's the way we navigate when we make wise decisions. Common sense. If something is logical and it works, it is common sense. And I exercise that. If I'm trying to save money, and I see a jar of tomato sauce that runs about $7.50 to $8 because it has a prettier label, maybe an extra one spice to it or whatever, as opposed to the $2 canned already prepared tomato sauce, which I could doctor up to any taste I want and save $6. Common sense dictates to me if I am on a budget and I want to stick to my budget, I don't see too much variation in flavor in tomato sauce. Okay, but that's Jan. Okay, that's me. So I don't mind using common sense and saving $6. I mean, for me, it works. All right. The next one, which we don't use enough of, in my opinion, is patience. Everybody's in this mad rush. Too much rushing. It's not good for your health, actually. And patience is required. If I know that my absolutely favorite item is going to go on sale in a few weeks, because sales do happen cyclically. For example, I know that boneless chicken breast in my area routinely goes on sale in the grocery store about every 5 to 6 weeks, and I keep an eye on that. So if I really like that, I want to get the best possible price of it. And at that time, I will go and stock up on it. For me, this is a little bit of patience and a little bit of common sense. Two tools that are always readily available in my frugal toolbox. Next, hands-on practicality. I like to make a practice of what I do, not just talk about it, not only just talk the talk, but walk the walk. I like to take hands-on practicality. For example, I do like to menu plan. That doesn't mean I write it on paper and it has to absolutely be spaghetti and meatballs on Monday. No, 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 no. It's practicality for me to pick up enough ground beef or pork or chicken or whatever, ground whatever, and make my meatballs in advance because I like to be ahead of the game and save time. So for me, that's an example of hands on practicality. I know what I like, I know I'm going to eat it. I don't mind making it in advance. I will do so and I will freeze it. For me, that's part of my frugal toolbox, hands on practicality. And hands on practicality includes planning. So you could maybe use planning as a separate tool or incorporate it as part of the hands on practicality. Next, part of my frugal toolbox is being a grateful person. Exercise the attitude of gratitude. Too many times people take so much for granted. When I hear stories of how some people live either by choice or by no choice, I say to myself, wow, wow, and wow, not necessarily in a great way. If you're in your own space and you're meeting your bills and you got a roof, grateful, grateful, grateful. Your bills are paid, got a little bit left over that you could use wisely, whatever you decide to do with it. I always think of saving a little and spending a little. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Gratitude is part of attitude. Keep gratitude as part of your frugal toolbox. I highly recommend that. Next, mindful spending and mindful saving. Yeah, I don't throw the spaghetti against the wall and pray it sticks and hoping my budget will work this month. No, 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 no. I will take out my budget binder, my budget planner, my notebook, or whatever piece of paper I have available, and I will write things down and I will look to the month ahead. I like to be ahead of. I don't always want to look, I always like to look back on to see if I could have done better, but I don't want to be like behind in things, certain things. That's me staying current and keeping awake and, ahead of bills. It's better in my mind's eye to be ahead of bills. I don't live too far deeply into the future, but I am certainly very concerned with either the last 4 weeks and the next weeks. That's me. This is what works for Jan. You have to know what works for you. And that's another beautiful part. Everybody's frugal toolbox is their own. Include in it the tools that have worked for you. Mindful spending, mindful savings. When you go to the grocery store, you just don't throw any old thing in your wagon and then say a prayer and hope that the price works for you. Wow. If you can do that, hey, I don't know. I can't. I can't do that. I create a budget that works for me. I'll take a little bit extra money with me in case I see something of a manager special that would be very beneficial for me to pick up in order to maximize my trip to the grocery store. Or if I'm doing online shopping, I make sure I look, 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 look. Take that minute, especially if you're online shopping, because you could see right away what's in that cart. And if you're spending more than what you have the ability to, you got to work around it. Instead of buying a Cadillac of sauces or peanut butter, look around. Is there? You could still get peanut butter, but is that peanut butter? Can you get the brand name? I mean, the store brand name for a fraction of the cost. You see where I'm going with this, and I will always say this over and over and over. We live in a world of choices. What choice do you want to make? Go ahead, build up your own frugal toolbox or continue to. Many of you now listening, I am sure, have your own categories. If so, let me know what you would add to your own or what you do have already in your personal frugal toolbox.